Yes, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to keep those health and wellness tips coming your way. So today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something super important for your well-being. We're talking about sexual health and performance. But get this, we're going way beyond just talking about medications. We're going to explore 3 approaches you might not expect. And to help us understand all this, not just the how, but the why behind these techniques, I'm joined by an expert who can really unpack all of this for us.
I'm excited to delve into this with you. There's just so much more to sexual health that I think a lot of people realize.
Okay, let's unpack this. The first thing that really caught my eye in the research was this emphasis on blood flow. I mean, I knew it was important, but I didn't realize just how crucial it is.
It really is the foundation of everything. You know, when we talk about achieving and maintaining an erection, we're essentially talking about a vascular phenomenon. So think of it like a river system. You've got the heart, this powerful waterfall, pumping blood out into the aorta, the main channel. From there, it branches into smaller rivers and streams, eventually reaching its destination.
So you're saying it's like this complex network of waterways.
Exactly, leading to a very specific location.
Interesting.
And in this case, that location is the penis.
Okay.
Specifically, the tissues within the penis that need to become engorged with blood for an erection to occur.
I see.
That journey starts at the aorta, then branches off into the internal iliac artery, and further down into the internal pudendal artery. This artery is the key player, the primary supplier for the penis.
Wow. I never knew there were so many different arteries involved. It sounds like a very delicate system.
It is. And from the internal pudendal artery, we have even smaller arteries, like the cavernosal arteries. These are like the final delivery routes, ensuring that those tissues get the oxygen-rich blood they need for a strong and lasting erection.
So if there's any blockage or restriction along this route, things aren't going to work as smoothly.
Precisely. If those arteries are narrowed or constricted, it's like trying to force a raging river. Through a narrow pipe, the flow is restricted, and you won't get the same results.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's where medications like tadalafil, that's Cialis, and sildenafil, that's Viagra, come in.
Okay.
They help to widen those blood vessels, improving blood flow.
So like Hoopa, clearing the traffic jam on the highway, allowing things to move freely. So with this understanding of blood flow being so important, what's the first surprising approach to improving sexual performance?
Well, this one might throw some people off, but it's incredibly effective and completely natural. Perineal exercises, better known as Kegels.
Wait a minute, Kegels? I thought those were something women did after childbirth. What do they have to do with sexual performance?
That's a common misconception. Kegels are all about strengthening the pelvic floor muscles, and those muscles are crucial for both men and women.
Okay.
They play a vital role in controlling blood flow to the penis and maintaining erections.
Really? So how do these exercises actually work?
The best way to understand it is to think about how you stop the flow of urine midstream. The muscles you engage to do that are your pelvic floor muscles.
Okay, I think I get it. But don't tell me we're all supposed to be practicing Kegels in the middle of the grocery store now.
No, not quite. The key is to first identify those muscles correctly. Once you've got that down, you can do Kegels discreetly, anywhere, anytime. The exercise itself is simple. You just contract those muscles for a few seconds, then relax and repeat.
So it's like giving those muscles a workout so they can better regulate the traffic flow we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. And the benefits go beyond the bedroom. A strong pelvic floor is also essential for bladder control, which is especially important as we age.
That's interesting. It sounds like Kegels are kind of like a secret weapon for overall health and well-being.
You could say that. And you know, one of the things I find fascinating is that even though Kegels are so effective and have virtually no side effects, a lot of men are hesitant to try them.
Really? Why is that?
There's a bit of a stigma attached, as if it's a feminine exercise.
That's unfortunate. I think it highlights how important it is to have open and honest conversations about these topics. You know, we need to break down those stigmas and focus on what's actually beneficial for our health.
I couldn't agree more. So moving on from Kegels, are you ready to delve into the next surprising technique?
Absolutely. Lay it on me.
Yeah.
What else have we got?
Let's talk about something that might sound a little intimidating at first. Vacuum therapy, more commonly known as the penile pump.
Okay, now we're getting into some interesting territory. I've heard of penile pumps, but honestly, I always thought they were, you know, a bit of a novelty item. Tell me more about how they actually work.
They're definitely not a novelty. Penile pumps are actually a well-established medical device, often prescribed by doctors.
Interesting.
The pump itself is a cylinder that fits over the penis. It creates negative pressure, like a vacuum, which draws blood into the penis, helping to achieve an erection.
So it's literally like sucking the blood in. Doesn't that sound a little dangerous?
Not when used correctly. It's crucial to consult with a healthcare professional. Before using one,
Okay.
they can advise you on the proper technique and ensure you're using a device that's safe and effective for you.
Okay, safety first. Always a good reminder. So tell me, what are the potential benefits of using a penile pump? Is it just about achieving an erection, or is there more to it?
It can definitely help with achieving and maintaining an erection, but there's more to it than that.
Okay.
Some men use it to improve blood flow and even to help regain erectile function after prostate surgery.
That's fascinating. I'm starting to see how these techniques
Yeah.
can go beyond just addressing a specific problem and actually contribute to overall sexual health.
Exactly. And you know, another interesting aspect of the penile pump is that it can sometimes be used in combination with medications, like the ones we discussed earlier, for even better results. It's all about finding what works best for each individual.
This is all so incredibly insightful. I had no idea there were so many different approaches to improving sexual health.
We've only just scratched the surface. Are you ready for the third and perhaps most surprising technique?
Bring it on. At this point, I'm ready for anything.
All right, then. Let's talk about penile extenders.
Penile extenders. Now, that's something I've definitely never heard of. What in the world are those?
It's basically a device that applies gentle, consistent traction to the penis. Think of it like a stretching mechanism
Okay.
that over time can potentially improve both function and in some cases, length.
Wait, did you say length? Seriously?
It might sound surprising, but there's actually a growing body of research on penile extenders. Studies have shown that using one for even a couple of hours a day over a period of months can lead to noticeable improvements.
This is blowing my mind. But how does it actually work? Do you just strap this thing on and wait for magic to happen?
Not exactly. It's not magic. It's science.
Yeah.
The consistent tension from the extender encourages tissue growth, much like stretching a muscle over time.
Okay, that makes a bit more sense. But I have to admit, I'm still a little skeptical. It all sounds too good to be true.
I understand your skepticism, but I assure you, there's real science backing this up. And just like with the other techniques we discussed, professional guidance is essential.
Okay.
A healthcare professional can assess whether a penile extender is right for you and ensure you're using it correctly to maximize results and minimize any potential risks.
That's reassuring. I'm starting to see a pattern here. It seems like the key takeaway is that, while these techniques may sound unusual, they're all based on sound scientific principles and should always be approached with a focus on safety and professional guidance.
Exactly. It's about taking a proactive and informed approach to your sexual health, rather than relying solely on quick fixes or feeling like you have to suffer in silence.
Well said. This has been incredibly eye-opening so far. I'm eager to delve even deeper into these techniques. What else can you tell us about their potential benefits and how they compare to more traditional approaches?
You know, it's interesting that you bring up traditional approaches. I think one of the things that makes these techniques so compelling is they offer alternatives to medication.
Yeah.
For some men, medication might not be an option, due to other health conditions or even personal preferences.
That's a good point. I hadn't really considered that aspect of it. So for those individuals, these techniques could be real game changers.
Absolutely. And even for men who do take medication, these techniques can often be used in conjunction to enhance the effects or address other underlying issues.
It's all about having a comprehensive approach, isn't it? Like looking at the whole picture.
Exactly. Rather than just trying to mask the symptoms. And that brings us back to the importance of blood flow. All three of these techniques, in their own unique ways, aim to improve blood flow to the penis.
Right.
Whether it's strengthening the muscles that flow through kegels using a pump to create that vacuum effect,
Right.
or employing gentle traction with an extender, the goal is to optimize that vascular system for better sexual function.
It's fascinating how all these different approaches can target the same underlying issue from different angles. It's like having a whole toolbox of options rather than just a hammer.
I love that analogy. And speaking of toolboxes, there are actually a few other tools out there that we haven't even discussed yet.
Oh, really? Do tell. I'm all ears.
Have you ever heard of shockwave therapy?
Shockwave therapy. Isn't that something they use to treat sports injuries? What does that have to do with sexual health?
It might sound surprising, but it's actually a relatively new and promising treatment for erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
It uses low-intensity sound waves to stimulate blood vessel growth and tissue regeneration in the penis.
Sound waves. How in the world does that work?
It's a bit technical, but essentially those sound waves create microtraumas in the tissue, which triggers the body's natural healing processes.
Okay.
As the body repairs those microtraumas, it increases blood flow and promotes the formation of new blood vessels, leading to improved erectile function.
So it's like tricking the body into giving itself a little tune-up down there.
You could say that. And while more research is still needed, early studies have shown really promising results.
Wow, this is all so fascinating. I'm starting to think we need a whole series of episodes just to cover all of this.
I agree. There's so much to explore, and the field is constantly evolving with new research and innovations.
It's exciting to think about what the future holds for sexual health. But even with all these advancements, I think it's important to remember that the most important tool is often the simplest one: communication.
I couldn't agree more. So many men struggle in silence with these issues, feeling embarrassed or ashamed to talk about them.
Absolutely. And that silence can be so detrimental. It prevents men from seeking the help they need and perpetuates the stigma surrounding sexual health.
Exactly. It's so important to remember that you're not alone. Millions of men experience these challenges, and there's no shame in seeking help.
I think one of the biggest takeaways from this conversation is that sexual health is just as important as any other aspect of our well-being. It deserves our attention, our care, and our willingness to seek help when needed.
Well said. And it's something we need to talk about more openly and honestly, without shame or judgment.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. The more we normalize these conversations, the more we empower men to take control of their sexual health and seek the support they deserve.
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing I think is really important to emphasize is that sexual health is not just about the physical aspects.
Right.
It's also deeply connected to our emotional and psychological well-being.
That's a really important point. Things like stress, anxiety, relationship issues can all have a significant impact on our sexual function.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to approach sexual health with a holistic lens, taking into account all of these factors.
This is all so incredibly insightful. I feel like I'm learning so much, and I hope our listeners are too.
Me too. I'm so glad we're having this conversation.
Before we wrap things up, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners about navigating these often complex issues surrounding sexual health? Any final words of wisdom?
I think the most important thing is to remember that there is help available. If you're struggling with any aspect of your sexual health, don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare professional. They can help you understand your options, provide support, and guide you on the path to a healthier and more fulfilling sexual life.
That's a powerful message to end on. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. This has been a truly enlightening conversation.
It's been my pleasure. I'm passionate about these topics, and I'm always happy to shed light on them.
And to our listeners, we hope you've gained some valuable insights from this deep dive. Remember, you're not alone, and there are resources available to support you on your journey to optimal sexual health. And as always, stay tuned to HealthyCast for more fascinating explorations of health and wellness. As we wrap up this deep dive, I can't help but think about how much we've covered. We went from the network of arteries responsible for blood flow to the surprising effectiveness of Kegels. We even explored this kind of futuristic world of penile extenders and shockwave therapy.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? And you know what I think is most striking is how much these techniques challenge our conventional thinking about sexual health.
Absolutely. It's like we've opened up this whole new world of possibilities beyond the typical medications and quick fixes.
Exactly. And I think that's incredibly empowering for men. It gives them a sense of agency, knowing that they have options and that they can take a proactive role in their sexual well-being.
Okay, so let's distill all of this down to some key takeaways for our listeners. What are the most important things you want people to remember from this conversation?
I think the first and most important takeaway is that sexual health is, intricately connected to overall well-being. It's not something to be ashamed of or ignored.
Right.
It's a vital part of who we are, and it deserves our attention and care.
I love that. It's about embracing this holistic approach to health.
Exactly. Recognizing that every aspect of our being is interconnected.
Yeah.
And with that holistic perspective in mind, let's kind of revisit those 3 surprising approaches we discussed. Starting with Kegels, those simple yet powerful exercises that strengthen the pelvic floor muscles. We learned that they not only benefit sexual function, but they improve bladder control and even contribute to better posture.
It's amazing how such a simple exercise can have such wide-ranging benefits. And I think it's a great example of how taking care of ourselves in one area can have positive ripple effects throughout our entire lives.
Absolutely. Then we explored vacuum therapy, the penile pump. Now, while it might sound intimidating at first, it's actually a safe and effective way to improve blood flow to the penis when used correctly. And always, of course, under the guidance of a healthcare professional.
Right. Safety first. And I think it's important to emphasize that point again. While these techniques can be incredibly beneficial, it's so crucial to approach them with caution and seek professional guidance to make sure you're using them correctly and safely.
I couldn't agree more. And finally, we ventured into the realm of penile extenders, which can potentially improve both function and length over time. Now, while it might sound like something out of a science fiction movie, the research behind it is solid, and the results can be significant.
It's a testament to how far science has come in understanding and addressing these issues, and it gives hope to those who may have felt like there were no other options available.
Exactly. And I think that's what I want listeners to take away from this conversation, a sense of hope and empowerment. If you're experiencing challenges with sexual health, please don't suffer in silence. Reach out to a healthcare professional, explore your options, and remember that there is help available. You deserve to live a fulfilling and satisfying life, both inside and outside the bedroom.
That's such a powerful message. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us today and for helping to break down the stigma surrounding these important conversations.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the surprising world of sexual health. We hope you learned something new and feel empowered to take charge of your own well-being. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned to HealthyCast for more fascinating explorations of health and wellness.